Two ways through pain, endurance and escape. How belief systems reshape our understanding of suffering, love, and responsibility. The paradox of pain. Two people can experience hardship so deep that it alters their sense of self, yet respond in opposite ways. One learns endurance, the other learns escape. Both claim transformation, but only one remains grounded in truth. This is not a story about heroes or villains. It is a study of what belief does to human empathy. When life falls apart, some cling to the slow, painful work of honesty. Others discover an ideology that promises quick freedom and moral relief. One path preserves humanity. The other edits it. The life that endured. The first life was built on persistence. Through years of turmoil, illness, and emotional chaos, they kept showing up. They endured the unpredictable rhythm of addiction and grief, supporting others even when they were drowning themselves. Endurance is rarely celebrated now. It lacks glamour. It is slow, silent, and invisible. But endurance is what stops families from collapsing when everything else is broken. When loss finally came, they grieved openly. They did not disguise pain as destiny or use spiritual slogans to soften its edges. They called it what it was. A tragedy. An ending. And yet, they continued to care for those left behind. The life that escaped. The second life began with the same virtues. Steady, loyal, compassionate, dedicated to family. Then belief entered. Not religion in the old sense, but the new faith of personal transformation. A system of ideas that promised empowerment through detachment and clarity through control. In that world, discomfort means misalignment. Relationships are judged by whether they serve your higher path. Anything that slows you down becomes a block. Once someone you love is labeled a block, empathy ends. That label gives moral permission to abandon them. What would once have been called betrayal becomes growth. What was once a family becomes a story of self-actualization. When told that the person beside them was holding them back, they obeyed the script. They cut the cord, rewrote the narrative, and called the loss awakening. The seduction of simpler truths. Belief systems, whether religious or secular, sell simplicity to those who have suffered too much. They promise a single, clean way to turn chaos into meaning. But simplicity is a kind of anesthetic. It numbs reality by replacing it with story. To endure pain without reinterpreting it demands courage. To reframe pain until it flatters the self demands nothing but denial. One requires moral depth. The other sells well-being. When suffering becomes a story. In today's culture, emotional honesty is praised until it becomes inconvenient. When grief fits the narrative, we call it healing. When grief disrupts the narrative, we call it dysfunction. Two people can experience the same symptoms and receive entirely different reactions. Depression and trauma in one person are proof of bravery and insight. In another, they become alleged. The same feeling, the same despair, but one story is applauded while the other is dismissed. This is not empathy. It is narrative management. The truth of pain is measured not by its reality, but by whether it supports the preferred story. The mirrored families. This is where the symmetry cuts deepest. One family lost a mother to despair. Her pain, hidden for years behind normal life, finally broke through. Her death left a daughter reeling, trying to understand the randomness of grief, the guilt of what could not be fixed, and the emptiness that followed. The loss reshaped her. She grieved, she sought therapy, and she began to rebuild herself publicly, speaking of healing and acceptance. Her voice became a way to make sense of the chaos. Another family almost lost a father to the same despair. His life did not end, but it came close. The collapse was slower, quieter, stretched across months of confusion, gaslighting, and disbelief. His children watched the aftermath without truly understanding it. They saw their father's decline without the clear narrative of death to explain it. Instead, they saw someone they loved disappear in slow motion, alive but unreachable, mentally fractured by betrayal and distortion. Both families were torn apart by the same undercurrent, the human need to find meaning in suffering. In one case, grief was honored. In the other, it was denied. One loss became tragedy. The other was rebranded as transformation. The psychology of rewriting. People rarely lie outright. They rearrange truth until it becomes bearable. A well-designed belief system provides the language to do that gracefully. Words like truth, alignment, and freedom become moral disguises. You are not leaving someone. You are releasing attachment. You are not breaking trust. You are stepping into authenticity. You are not running away. You are moving forward. The same action, dressed in the right words, looks noble. This is how harm passes as healing. The empathy divide. Every ideology creates insiders and outsiders. Those who understand are enlightened. Those who question are stuck. Over time, that division consumes the ability to feel genuine empathy. In one world, depression is brave. In another, it is evidence of failure. The partner who broke under the weight of abandonment was not seen as a person in pain, but as a problem to be explained away. Their suffering was treated as an obstacle to the other's enlightenment. Meanwhile, the grief of others was accepted as real, meaningful, even inspirational. The same emotion, despair, earned compassion in one direction and contempt in the other. This is the quiet violence of selective empathy. Endurance as defiance. To stay when everything collapses is not weakness. It is a kind of defiance. It means facing the wreckage without rewriting it. It means admitting to yourself that love does not always save, and that some wounds do not close neatly. The person who stayed carried their suffering honestly. They sought help, spoke to therapists, and tried to rebuild a self that no longer fit the world around them. Their healing was not performative. It did not need applause or spiritual framing. It was simply human. Endurance preserves the memory of what was real. It refuses to let ideology erase the complexity of care. Escape as a cultural ideal. Modern culture rewards those who can turn detachment into art. The one who leaves, reinvents, and declares freedom is applauded for bravery. Escape has become a moral good. But not all escape is healing. Sometimes it is cowardice wrapped in language that flatters the self. When belief systems tell us to abandon the people we harm, they do not elevate us, they dehumanize us. The self-help world thrives on this illusion. It packages emotional flight as wisdom and markets self-interest as liberation. It promises transformation while quietly absolving responsibility. The mirror they refuse to see. Two stories, side by side, expose the moral inversion at the heart of modern spirituality. One person faced pain and still chose love. Another faced discomfort and chose narrative. Both say they found peace, but only one peace can survive truth. The kind built on honesty is fragile yet real. The kind built on denial depends on silence. If your freedom requires another person's collapse, it is not freedom. It is theater. The family aftermath. The wider cost is rarely discussed. Belief systems sell transformation as an individual achievement, yet every transformation sends shockwaves through families. The family who lost their mother still carries her absence every day. Her death became part of their emotional DNA. They learned to live around the hole she left. The family who almost lost their father lives with a ghost of a different kind. He survived physically, but was changed beyond recognition. The relationship between children and parent fractured under confusion and emotional distance. The silence left by betrayal is not tidy like death. It echoes in every hesitation, every guarded conversation, every unanswered call. When people reframe harm as awakening, they rarely see the collateral damage. It lives quietly in those who remain, trying to make sense of someone else's enlightenment. What the world rewards. We live in a culture that values coherence over conscience. If a story sounds enlightened, few will question the truth beneath it. Pain, when repackaged as growth, becomes marketable. That is why endurance receives so little recognition. It cannot be sold. It offers no instant redemption, no tidy arc of empowerment. It is simply the act of staying real when others trade reality for comfort. The human choice. Every person who suffers faces a fork in the road. One direction leads deeper into truth, the other into escape. Endure, and you face the risk of despair, but keep your integrity. Escape, and you gain temporary peace, but lose the ability to feel deeply. In the end, two people taught this lesson in perfect symmetry. One stayed human through chaos. The other escaped humanity in the name of growth. Their families still carry the evidence of those choices. One grieves a life that ended. The other lives with a life that was rewritten. And beneath both stories lies the same unchanging truth: belief does not erase pain. It only decides who gets to be believed.